Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So in my last video, I talked about how I got so burned out over the last 5 years that I missed so many opportunities that I didn't even realize until I sat down to digest it all. And so when I wrote it all down, all of the missed opportunities, I realized that I needed both hands and both feet in order to count how many missed opportunities I had. I'm going to talk about some of them in this video. So I moved to Phoenix, Arizona on September 21st, 2022, and I took a job at a tutoring center here in the Phoenix area. And my first day on the job, I we were going around introducing ourselves, and I this was just between our coworkers and I we were talking about the best day we ever lived, and I explained that I had just uh, that 12 years earlier in 2010, I had just broken up with a girl when I decided to go to a coin show by myself. I was going to take the girl there, but I decided to go by myself. I had the best day of my life, and it was then that I realized that one could have a relationship with themselves. And my colleague disagreed with that. She was, I want to say, 26 years old, and she said that no, everybody needs somebody in their lives. And now looking back at it, judging by the way her life was going and how she said it, I think she wanted me to make a move on her, but I missed it at that moment in time. I missed it. I was I had a favorite board game meetup that I already knew in the years before. I had visited Phoenix before moving here full time in 2022. I was here for a couple months in 2021, and I went to the meetup, and one of the girls are a little bit older. I want to say she would have been in her late 30s, early 40s. Was fascinated by my art projects, but for some reason, week after week went by. I've since learned, just from talking to people I'm close to and just binge reading about this stuff, that you want to make the move early because it's going to work if it's going to work, and you don't want to waste too much time. Right? I've since learned that. I used to not have that concept, and I missed so many opportunities to make the move on her. Long story short, we grew apart, and I don't. I think she eventually stopped coming to that meetup so as frequently. And I waited and waited, and I kept going there. You got to understand those meetup groups are a huge commitment. Here in Phoenix, everything is at least 20 minutes away, right? I'll let you Google a map of Phoenix. Finally, one day I saw her, but I wasn't ready to make the move on her, and then I never saw her again. And I was so upset that eventually I got in a rage over something else. It wasn't over her. What had happened was one day one of the other guys there had said something really insulting, and I blew up on him. And long story short, I haven't seen that group since then. Now there was yet another group. This one I've already mentioned a few times. I was playing Ticket to Ride with 3, 4 other people, and this one idiot, excuse my language, but you'll see why I say idiot in a moment, he knows I have food allergies. He decided he needed to get his food all over his game set, right? There's plenty of eating utensils all over the place, and I would have been fine sitting next to him. And so I think we need to make a movement to make it socially unacceptable to eat with your hands. I think it's so odd to get food everywhere. You would have thought with what happened 5 years ago that the concept of putting your fingers anywhere near your mouth should have been outright banned, right? Of course, I think the reason we don't have such a concept is that the food industry would lose a lot of money if people actually slowed down to think about what they're eating. Right? Most food choices are very impulsive. You put any barrier that causes people to have to think before they eat, I think people would eat a lot less. I really do. But anyway, this idiot. decided he needed to get his foot all over the game. It's his game set, so I really didn't want to comment. I stood up and said, thank you so much for playing, but I have food allergies. Enjoy the rest of your game. I was trying to be the bigger person and all that. He said something in a very insulting way. Okay, goodbye. Almost like I don't want to play with you anyway. He said something really insulting. And so I got up, and this girl introduced me to her, to the rest of the group, and I would have made a move on her, except that she then explained that she has type 1 diabetes, has to watch what she eats. At the time, I was juggling 2 jobs. I was in my art career. I was burnt out, and the thought of getting to know somebody who also has other things going on, it just weighed heavily on me, and so I didn't make the move on her. And so eventually, my opportunity to do that kind of passed as well. There was another. Now, I talk about these as if they're missed opportunities, as if every one of these could have gone beyond my wildest dreams. Not really, but the entire reason to not miss an opportunity is that if you try to capitalize on these and if they don't work, you'll know that they don't work and you can move on, right? All 3 of these, I'll never know what would have happened, right? And there were many more, by the way. These were the big ones, and earlier last night. Carrie Underwood was performing at the inaugurations, and the music glitched out, and I really applaud her for not missing that opportunity. Go watch that video, and that's how I need to capture these opportunities. All right, please pray that I don't miss these opportunities. I think the big problem was that I buried my head in my career these last few years. First with the tutoring center, and even though I got into toxicity with the management at the tutoring center, I loved all of our students, and I buried my head in that. I buried my head at the community colleges as well, and with the art projects, and I really hit a brick wall this past year, and so I hope not to do that again. Please pray for. Okay, I gotta get to something. This is the Peter Dislike Show.